So Colin, welcome to my suite at where am I? The Palazzo. Oh my God, I can't even remember my hotel.
That's the cost of CES. We've all been busy, Jill. It's now you more than many.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, so tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me a little bit about what you do.
I'm Colin Lawlor, originally an Irish lad. I grew up in Ireland.
Hence the accent.
Hence the accent and the red hair and the inability to tan, etc. But anyway, I grew up in Ireland and spent a lot of my life in healthcare, but more healthcare technology. And during that journey, I became really, really, really interested in sleep, and I had the good fortune to work with an Irish technology company, which then got acquired by ResMed, the global leaders in sleep medical devices. And that provided me with an opportunity to set up a new company with ResMed's support and access to their technology, which is called SleepScore Labs. So now I'm the chief executive of a company called SleepScore Labs, and I live in Carlsbad, California, which is quite different to Ireland in lots of ways.
Yes.
But similar in some as well.
A little beachy.
A little beachy. Well, we also have beaches in Ireland, but we just can't go to them quite so often because it rains a bit more.
So you're getting more sun, a lot more sunscreen for your skin tone.
Exactly, yeah.
So, a couple questions.
Sure.
Why is there this new craze about sleep and getting it, and why is it such a hot topic?
Well, it's funny. I've been in the sleep area for 12 to 14 years, and those of us with knowledge about the role of sleep in health and wellness have been there for a long time. ResMed, for example, was founded 30 years ago, and sleep problems like sleep apnea have been well documented and understood, and increasingly so. So at many ways, we were kind of fighting an uphill battle because we had to explain that sleep was important. And many people contributed to that. So one of our investors and founders is Dr. Oz, and he's been talking about sleep because he believes in it. He sees the impact of poor sleep when he's operating as a cardiothoracic surgeon, for example. And, Arianna Huffington and other people have been talking about and giving real life examples, and Matthew Walker wrote a great book on sleep. So there's been improvement in the information for quite some time about sleep and its role. But I think the most important breakthrough is in enabling people to understand their own sleep objectively. You see, there's a big difference between sleep and diet and sleep and exercise, because when I'm overweight, I can see it in the mirror and I can stand on a weighing scales. So I have a pretty good idea that I'm overweight and I have a few pounds to lose or something to do. If I'm not exercising, I also know that. Today I can count the steps, but even if I don't count the steps, I know I went for a walk or I didn't, I went for a run or I didn't. When it comes to sleep, I go to bed and I'm unconscious for most of it. So as a consumer, it's really hard for me to objectively understand it because I'm not conscious. So one of the issues is, because we can't understand it, we really find it hard to do something about it. And I think that that's been one of the issues. So in a funny way, and you'll have to forgive me for using the pun, sleep has come out of the dark because we have applied technologies to help people understand what's going on with their sleep, and then using that data to drive further insights and clinical and product advances. And so we have a combination of people working to explain it, but we also have the technology and the science to actually illuminate it and make it personal and real. So I think all of those things combined have contributed to where we are today.
So I know that you know this, but if you had to call out what the big effects are with just lack of sleep, lack of substantially good sleep, what is the health what are the health implications?
Right. Well, I kid you not, almost every month there's a significant number of new studies which are looking and showing very clearly the relationship between sleep deprivation and pretty much every major chronic disease. So, well, let's start at pretty much every major chronic disease. And I'll give you some examples of those in a moment, but let's just start at a more fundamental level. So, I travel a lot for work. You do too, right? And when you're traveling and you're jet lagged and you're tired, It's so funny, but when I get off a plane on the other side of the world and I'm tired, I crave sugar and fat. And you know what? For years, I thought it was my willpower. But I learned that the hormones which regulate my appetite are actually produced during sleep. So when my sleep is interrupted, I don't have those hormones to help me through the day. And so as a consequence, my body immediately jumps into I need energy. And so I crave sugar and fat. So at a very fundamental level, we've all understood that's happened to every one of us, right? So actually, when we sleep badly, we don't look as well as we should. We look more tired. We feel more tired. We struggle more cognitively. It takes us a little while to figure things out. We make more mistakes. We're less safe on the roads. So all those things are things that happen right after poor sleep. And then the challenge is that drives further poor sleep. So it's like a vicious cycle. So it has an immediate daily impact, but on the kind of clinical and chronic disease side, there are some studies. One study which I always remember really, really well is a study that was done on healthy college athletes, 20, 21 years of age, about a dozen of them. They were all sleep deprived for 1 week, so they weren't allowed to sleep for any more than 4 hours per day. After 1 week, every single one was pre-diabetic.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. Every single one was pre-diabetic.
But they're athletes. How is that possible?
Right, because if you think about it, like, why do we sleep at all? I mean, if we didn't need to sleep...
Restorative.
Right, if we didn't need to sleep, evolution would have removed it by now. But we still do need to sleep. And why do we sleep at all? Well, it has a function restoring our bodies, for function restoring our memory, and so forth. It clears the toxins from our brains, etc. So the sleep process is essential to life, and we can't function without it. So if you deprive something essential from life, it's going to have consequences. And so the data is showing that, sleep deprivation, particularly if it's continuous, results in a very significant increase in pretty much every major chronic disease. And we are now talking about clear links or correlations between sleep deprivation and dementia, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome diseases, obesity, depression, etc. So it's there, and it's connected to almost everything. Now, we believe that poor sleep can increase or actually cause those things, but we haven't fully proven that. So
to correlate them, it's very hard to,
However, this year, or I should say last year, 2019, there was a really, really significant breakthrough study that was done in animal study. And what that showed was the mechanistic link for the first time between sleep deprivation and cardiovascular disease, because essentially there's a response which produces plaque which builds up in the arteries. So over time, those studies are actually getting down into the actual cause and effect relationship. So I have no doubt that by the time we're here in a few years' time, we're going to have a much, much more comprehensive picture.
I used to hear, I worked in the film industry for about 15 years, and we worked insane hours. And I remember one of the assistant directors saying, "You can sleep when you die. You can sleep when you die." And I was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm going to die from lack of sleep.
Yeah, well, he's right. You can't sleep when you die. You'll just die sooner.
You just die sooner.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I personally, I'm neither a doctor nor a researcher in the space, but I have spent, as I said, 12 to 14 years of my life looking at this and working with the world's leading experts in the space. Sleep is essential. It is really essential, and we must prioritize it. And if we do, we will benefit from that. And it's not enough, though, just to say it's important. And it's certainly not enough to say to people, sleep more, go to bed early, blah, 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 don't watch the television, all these things. We're in the real world. We all live our lives. We have things to do. So we have to find solutions that are useful and effective. And we have to provide people with accurate, personalized advice, because we're all different. And that's the problem that we're trying to solve at SleepScore Labs, which is how do we actually improve it for you? Because it's personalized, and you had a big focus this year on personalized medicine and the importance of that. And we are clearly seeing that ourselves in our own big data sets.
So tell tell me a little bit about some of the work you're doing? You had a big announcement at our press conference, and bringing fragrance into this discussion, which is, it's fascinating. So tell us a little bit about that, how that happened. And I think people would want to know that. That's such a cool thing.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, and this is our mission, is to help hundreds of millions of people to improve their sleep. And we believe if we can do that, help hundreds of millions to improve their sleep, we can make a difference in the world, which is very, very substantial. And so we're very, very mission driven. And so then the question is, how do we do that? You know what? As I said, we can't change everybody's lifestyles overnight. We can't disrupt everything altogether. So we've got to come at it from a different perspective, which is, how do we make it easier for people to sleep better? And how do we enable the time that they sleep to be the most effective possible? So what we're doing in that sense in the fragrance area is we actually met IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances, our partner, at CES 2 years ago. And they were trying to solve a problem, which was they have been in the scent and fragrance business for 130 years. And they know that scent influences mood. They know that scent can be a positive thing, and it has been used for millennia to do so. But they didn't have objective data, and they couldn't find ways to actually drill down and figure out what scents or fragrances have what physiological impact, if any. And so
that's where you come in.
That's where we came in. So we provide them with a platform that enabled them, our platform, the SleepScore Labs platform, to rapidly cycle through various ingredients to figure out which actually have an objective impact. And then we chose the first of that list of ingredients which have an objective impact and put that into a full placebo-controlled, counterbalanced, double-blinded study, the world's first. And in that study, because we're measuring people's sleep every night, every 30 seconds, all night, and so forth, we've got a big data set for that. We've actually concluded this first study, and that ingredient, which is delivered through a fragrance, has resulted in an objective improvement in people's sleep of 26% better time asleep after they go asleep initially. So one of the biggest problems that people have is waking up after going to sleep and not being able to get back to sleep. So this makes a significant positive impact on that. And it's just the beginning. So that's kind of, I think, a really cool thing, because now what we can do is we can work with companies to help them to deliver solutions that we can all use and we can all benefit from. And that enables us to scale up the impact.
And you've been testing using your platform to test efficacy of products, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So one thing you told me, and I thought would be fun to share, was around the blue block glasses, which I thought was just something that you use when you're looking at a computer during the day. Can you tell me tell me again?
Absolutely. Yeah, no problems. So in my briefcase, I keep the Swan blue light filtering glasses, which we have completed a full objective validation study on. And really what's going on is light has a huge impact on our ability to sleep. So when we are particularly blue light, so the bright blue light, which basically tells our brains it's daytime. So when we're watching TV late at night, and particularly when we're looking at our screens and they're very close to our eyes, we're absorbing an enormous amount of blue light, and that's basically sending a signal to our brains, which is, it's wake.
Hey, stay awake.
Stay awake,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So essentially, this is a part of the solution then. If people need to watch the TV to relax or to distract themselves, there's not a lot of point in telling them that you can't, but let's try to filter the parts of the experience which are not good. So by using blue light filtering glasses, we can remove or significantly reduce the amount of blue light that's being absorbed, which then in turn makes it easier for people to fall asleep and stay asleep. And we actually found that in the study. It helps people to fall asleep and stay asleep. Now, I use them. I don't watch the television late at night. I'm a sleep committed guy. I'm very, very focused on this personally. So I don't have that problem, but I travel. And so on my travels, it's about trying to manage jet lag. And part of managing jet lag is to restrict light at certain times in the journey and to promote it on other times. So when I'm going, for example, from the East Coast to Europe, I'm going to lose a night's sleep. It's if it's 6 p.m., I'm getting on a flight at JFK. That's really 11 p.m. in London or Dublin. I really should not be in a very brightly lit airport environment. I put my blue light filtering glasses on because I'm telling my system it's time to actually shut down. And so when I get to the plane, then it's easier for me to sleep. And when I land, it's daytime. I need as much light as I can get. Bring it on. And that helps a lot. And it reduces the need for other stimulants. So these are simple tools we can all use. And what we do is we try to help people to understand what the issue for them is and what tools will work for them, but all grounded in the data and the science, which is really, really important.
Yeah, I found that so fascinating because I'm a late night TV watcher. I work, intense usually most of the day, and then, spend time with my son. And then after he goes to sleep, it's my like zoning out time. Yeah. So I just think that's such an important time for me. But
we will get you the Swan Week glasses from the SleepScore store.
Yeah, the SleepScore store.
I'll get those to you. I'll get those to you.
So I think the most interesting part is you've created a store, which, there's a lot of online stores, but this is clinically validated after you've done your platform testing on how effective are these products in helping you get to sleep, stay asleep, perform better.
Right. We're a company made up of sleep experts. We have a tremendous sleep science team, and all we do is sleep. And so, we work, but we sleep as well. Our business is sleep, our intellectual interest is sleep, our clinical interest is sleep. So we test and look at everything before we recommend it. And it's not because we're trying to build the world's e-commerce store for sleep.
Right.
Actually, what we're doing is we're using that to help consumers to make informed choices and to provide information and to learn in terms of the data.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask you one question before we wrap things up. What is the one daily ritual you attribute to improving your health and wellness?
Okay. So I do exercise, I do watch my diet, but I have restless leg syndrome. So it is a neurological condition that about 10 or 11% of adults experience. It's slightly more prevalent in females than males. What happens with that condition is it wakes you up. So it's where your leg or limb kicks rhythmically for periods of the night. And it used to bug the hell out of my wife. I didn't notice it, but as I get older, it wakes me up more and more. So that had a negative impact on my sleep score. And I've been trying to solve that for a long time. There are 4 interventions which together work, but the most recent one, which I've actually found is quite important for me, is caffeine restriction at midday. Okay. Not 11 a.m., not 1 p.m., midday. I've got the data on it. So when I combine that with a weighted blanket, I combine it with a sound machine, and I combine it with the lowest dose of gabapentin, which is a typically prescribed drug for neurological conditions like this. It all works. And my sleep score has jumped by about 20 points.
Wow. And your wife?
She is sleeping like a baby. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And the weighted blanket thing is kind of a newer...
Yes. Yeah. So look, there are lots and lots of weighted blankets. So we tested one. It's called a gravity blanket, and we put it in a full study. And we saw very significant positive improvements in sleep, objective sleep measures, more time in deep sleep, less time awake. And I use it myself, and I find it very effective.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
The mechanism behind that, well, there are several theories, so there's more work to be done, and not all weighted blankets are the same. But certainly, if you want to find out more, it's a great idea to look up the study on our website. We publish all of this data. So look up the study on your website, but we saw very strong, positive, objective results from that.
That's fantastic. I've actually been sort of eyeing them. I didn't even think to go look on your website for that. So
now I know what I've got to get you for your birthday.
Oh my Lord, yes. Well, it's not coming soon enough. This is fantastic. I can't thank you enough. So you guys are on social media? I know I see you on LinkedIn a lot, but what about...
Yes. We do have SleepScore on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
All SleepScore Labs, right?
SleepScore Labs.
Okay,
and I'm not the best Instagram fan or follower myself.
Yeah,
my kids are much better than me. But yeah, we're on social media all the time, and you can find more at sleepscore.com.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
What a great pleasure it's been to know you these past 5 years now, 4 or 5 years,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
And see where SleepScore has gone. And
likewise, and if I may just return the favor, it has been a great pleasure to know you too, but the difference that you have made to companies who are in turn making a difference to people's life, it's important. I mean, we're in the middle of a trade show and everybody's talking about business and stuff, but this is digital health. And this is the path that's going to change the world for the better. This is what's going to help sick people get better. This is what's going to reduce costs in the system. And this is going to improve the quality of life for hundreds of millions of people over time. And you have to bring it all together, and you do that. And I know you probably don't think about it very much because you're so busy, but underneath the hood, that's what's going on. This is about changing the world for the better. And, the impact of this, these innovations, when companies connect and meet at CES, at your events,
important.
They come together and we create new things together, and those things make a difference, and you orchestrate that. So thank you.
Well, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun. As you can tell, my voice is shot. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, team.